What's going on, everybody? Matty Willz checking in one time, and welcome back to our weekly conversation that we're having with the Cuyahoga County Board of Health. This is officially our Cuyahoga County Board of Health weekly press briefing where we'll be talking about everything that pertains to COVID-19, right? We all know holiday season is basically here. Thanksgiving was last week. You know, a lot of people probably still kicked it with their families, even though we are trying to, curb the problem that we have going on right now. So this week's guest that we have, Ramona Brazil, she is with the Cuyahoga County Board of Health. She'll be here to answer all of our great questions that we've come up with over the week. And of course, if you guys watching have any questions, please feel free to leave them as a comment and we'll get to as many of them as possible. But Ramona, welcome. How you doing?
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm doing great.
Wonderful. We appreciate you taking some time out of your schedule during this time. Of course, we all know that you guys are all extremely busy right now, trying to just prepare us to do the right thing during this season. So first, just how was your holiday? Everything going good so far?
It was good. It was quiet. I had to take my own advice, so I was at home. We
Right,
just
right,
had a
right.
small Thanksgiving, but
Yeah,
it was a
yeah,
nice
we all
break.
getting used to it, right?
Yeah.
We just gotta do it. So let's just get right into it again, guys. Whoever's watching, please leave your comments if you have any questions about COVID-19 in any capacity today. We'll be focusing more on the testing and exposure side of it, with a lot of holiday parties and things like that. But any questions you have about COVID, definitely leave them, and we'll just get into it. So let's just kind of start pretty broad with it, Ramona. What are some of the biggest myths that you've been hearing about COVID-19?
Yeah, so we definitely been hearing a lot of myths from the very beginning about this. And, one of the first things that I saw was about the way we do testing and people being concerned that if you go get tested, that you could actually be given COVID.
Mm,
And that is entirely false. We don't want to give anyone COVID. We take a lot of precautions to prevent that from happening. And, no, I don't want to work this hard anymore. It's been since
right.
February. So, I definitely don't want to increase any numbers. The other thing that we've been hearing a lot is that, the numbers aren't real.
Mm,
The numbers are real, y'all. It is so real. And the way that we find out about people when they're positive is the lab actually has to report it to the health department. So, each number that we tell you is connected to a person. And it doesn't matter if they go get tested one time or they get tested 3 times. We only count people. We don't count the number of tests.
right. So you spoke about, people questioning whether or not the numbers that we're seeing being real. Like, what are some ways that those people can be reassured that those numbers are actually real?
So, we follow a process. We have, a lot of people are getting to know us because of COVID, but we've been around for 100 years. And part of what we do is this. So, if people went to a wedding and they got sick and they got reported to us. When you get sick with certain things, it has to get reported to the health department. Health department follows up on that. And that's how we get our numbers. So we've been doing this for a long time. So that is how we focus and how we know, that the numbers are accurate.
And just for everybody joining us right now, we're speaking with Ramona Brazil. She is I didn't say your title, the interim co-director of prevention and wellness services. And also, of course, she's a nurse. So we don't want to forget that as well. So we're talking about COVID. Y'all got questions, comments, concerns, drop them down there. We'll definitely get to them. But, speaking of the numbers, are there people there? I know that I've had people tell me this and they say it like it's science, but you know how your friends and your homies talk.
Yeah.
But are there people that are being diagnosed with COVID that don't have it?
No. So that is definitely one of the biggest myths that there is. So one of the things that I've been hearing is, oh, nobody get colds and flu no more. They just
Right,
everything is COVID now. And
right.
that's not true either. People do still get colds and flu. We're entering flu season now. And but there's not been a lot of flu yet. And
Mm,
so we track flu too. So that's another thing that we look at. How is flu going around in our community? So people do get those other things. And part of the problem with COVID is it's hard to tell for some people, is this a cold? Is this allergies? We just come in and we got a ton of snow now, but is this my fall allergies that's normal, or is this the flu? It can be really hard to tell the difference between those. But no, if they're diagnosed, especially if you go and you get a test and you're sick, you have COVID if it's positive. It's not going to be something else, because when they do a test, we're looking at something very specific. We're looking at that particular thing. And so if it comes back positive, you do have that.
Right. And just, in the headlines in the last couple of days, I saw that the amount of time that we are supposed to kind of self-quarantine, that just got changed, right? If you don't show any symptoms, it went from 14 days to 10 days. Is that true?
So yeah, we're paying attention to what the CDC is saying. So we were hearing that in the news first. So we make our official switch as a health department once it kind of comes from CDC, and then it goes to the Ohio Department of Health, and then we'll officially change what we tell people. But yes, this morning even they updated it. So if you are to cut it down to 10 days, but if you get tested, it can be as short as 7 days. But we haven't officially changed it yet, but that change is probably coming really soon.
Got you. So just basically keep your eye on the news and always make sure you had the most recent and most accurate information. Again, we're speaking with Ramona Brazil of the Cuyahoga County Board of Health. We're talking about testing and exposure related to COVID-19. We all know it's the holiday season, and that probably may be the answer to this next question, but you're the expert, so I'll let you say it. Why are the numbers for COVID going up so much right now?
So, with these kind of things, they can come in waves. And so we know that they can go up, they can come down, and then they can go up really fast. And that's where we're at right now, where these numbers are just like, they're unbelievable. Even a few months ago, I didn't think we would exactly be here. But, I think people got a little comfortable, especially in like September, October, the numbers were going down. And, we kind of fell back onto some old habits, and there's still a lot of, folks getting together and like some of our social gatherings and parties. And it's always so sad for me, because it's a very innocent thing. And then you find out that, a few days after you had a party, that somebody was sick there, and then multiple people become sick from that party. Nobody ever intends for that to happen, but that is part of what's happening.
Right.
And then the other thing is, if you get it like that and then you go to work, that's another place where it could be spreading as well. And especially if you work in a place like a nursing home or a group home, that's where we have a lot of concern.
So basically, we just got to stay diligent. People are getting a little too relaxed. Obviously, the holiday gatherings and things like that are going to pop up, and those are going to be issues. But even in between those times, I know, for just speaking for myself, there was a point in time where I definitely had what they call the quote unquote the COVID fatigue or whatever. You hear about it all the time, and then working here, we always are talking about it. It's easy to just kind of fall back and relax. But lately, since I've seen the way these numbers have been reacting, definitely getting back extremely diligent at the house. So again, we're speaking with Ramona Brazil of the Cuyahoga County Board of Health, talking about COVID-19. So if you're sick, we talked about the different things that could be affecting people outside of COVID-19 right now. But if you're sick and you don't really know what's going on, what should you do?
So you really should just try and stay away from people. I mean, I know that's like, that sounds like crazy, basic and crazy. But, if you don't feel well, you could be somebody who just have the sniffles, and it could just be a cold, but it also could be COVID. And so, we want people to try and go get tested if they can. If you can't, or you won't, because some people will not, please stay away from other people. If you don't feel good, don't go to the party, that would help out so much if people did that. Just stay away from other people. Make sure you wear your mask, use your hand sanitizer, those types of things, but really stay away from other people.
Right. So then is that like, our next question is, when should you get tested and why? Obviously, we keep talking about, if you have symptoms, either stay away from somebody or go get a test as soon as possible. But for those people who may be struggling getting a test, what should they
Yeah.
do?
So, luckily there is more testing out there. You can go to a drugstores now. Earlier in when we first had this, it was so limited. It was really hard to get or find testing. You could try and call your healthcare provider to get a test. If you like I know, people there are people who just will not get tested.
Right,
I just won't do it
right,
and not accept that. So you just have to really limit kind of your movements and how many people you are around. And by doing that, even if you think it's just a cold, we may be able to taper this off a little bit.
right.
And that's of course I want you to take care of yourself because I'm a nurse, but stay away from other people.
Right. That's the thing I'm hearing. If you don't feel good, stay by yourself somewhere for a minute until you get yourself back together. Now, I personally have a lot of family members that stay out of state, and when we talk every couple of weeks, I'm kind of astounded to hear how some of them talk about how much they have to pay for a COVID test. But how much are COVID tests? How much should people expect to pay for COVID tests here in Ohio?
So the COVID tests that are available through either the health department, so we're working with Metro Health, and we have different community sites that we go to provide testing, and we had to work to find winterized places in the
Right,
last, but we anticipated. We are from Cleveland, right?
right.
So
Mhm.
we've been looking for those spots that we can still do testing. Those are free to anybody, as well as the tests that are done through like CVS
Mhm.
or Walgreens. Those are also free. They may collect insurance information, but if you don't have it, then that test should be free to you.
So we shouldn't really run into any. I mean, it shouldn't be a financial reason why you should not get your test because there are several free options. And just in my personal experience, having to get them, I've done the drive-through thing at I think it was a Rite Aid. I didn't even have to get out of my car.
Right.
Really wasn't that long of a line. You make your appointment, you're only there for 10 or 15 minutes. So there are definitely free options, and there are options where you don't even have to leave your own vehicle. So those are definitely out there. Now, we do got the phone number and the website running across the bottom of the screen. So all the viewers, make sure you note that. But if you do get a positive test result of COVID, then what should your next steps be? I have a feeling I know what you're going to say, but go ahead and say
Right. Number one, stay away from people.
it. Right.
But number two, go home and stay there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you have to stay at home. You should be there for at least 10 days from when you first started feeling sick. Or if you are a person who got tested and wasn't really having symptoms, at least 10 days from when that test date was. And we also want to make sure you're doing better. So you shouldn't have a fever for at least a day. And also, if you're having other symptoms like a cough or, runny, stuffy nose, those things should be getting better before you kind of come back out in the world again.
Right. And then just speaking of, a lot of our listeners on the radio, maybe a little younger, but and honestly, at the beginning, the younger people almost felt like they were immune, but even that
Yeah.
story kind of changed over the course of the months that we've been dealing with this. But who would you say is really at risk from getting, extremely sick from COVID?
Yeah, so it is people who are older are usually the ones who get the most sick from it. And also if you have some kind of medical condition. So that doesn't necessarily mean you're older. You can have a medical condition like
Right.
high blood pressure, or if it's obesity, like that's a really high number, or if you have heart disease or any kind of liver problem or kidney problems, all those folks are at risk for having like severe illness from COVID. But unfortunately, we've also seen younger people who don't have medical conditions
Mm,
who have gotten really sick. And, people could be put on oxygen. It's not necessarily over even when you're not thought that you can get other people sick,
right.
that you can still have problems even after it's kind of over and you're back out in the world. So we've seen that too.
Yeah, we do have a question from one of our viewers. Ms. Lee says, I continue to hear that if someone transitions and is diagnosed with COVID, the cause of death is documented as
Okay.
COVID related. Is that accurate? If so, why is this documented as COVID and not the underlying medical condition? I hear that this is practice is inflating the related death numbers. So, from
Right.
what I'm able to gather here, she's just saying if you go in with an underlying condition and you get COVID and it's being marked as COVID, death, but it may have been the underlying condition that ultimately led to your demise. What's your response to that?
Yeah, so the thing is with death, it's not as straightforward as people may think that it is. And so uh let's say that you are an older person and you have high blood pressure and you have COVID. And so that high blood pressure is going to make you more at risk for having, a worse kind of illness than if you didn't have it. You being older, your immune system may not be as strong. And so COVID may cause or may contribute to why you die in that kind of situation. Is you may get pneumonia or something like that, and the pneumonia is what actually the person dies from, but they had COVID and COVID contributed to it. So we don't we're not overinflating that number. Like, so some of the things that I've heard is like, oh, if you were in a car accident and you just so happen to be
Yeah,
positive for COVID, they're gonna say you died from COVID.
right,
No, you died because you were in a car accident. Like, we can tell the difference between, a person who just so happens to have been positive for COVID and where COVID actually contributed to why they died.
right. And I'm gonna just keep it real. I mean, I know all of the numbers are extremely important, but to me, it's semantics, man. Let's just go out there and protect ourselves, protect our families. Let's get that number down to zero so that we can
Yes.
all go back to living, regular lives. Hopefully one day. But
Hmm.
we've just had this conversation with Ramona Brazil of Cuyahoga County Board of Health. We really, really appreciate you taking some time out and just giving us that good information. The final question that we have is, where can people get more information about getting COVID tests or just COVID-19 in general?
So I would say start with our website, because our website will then point you into a lot of different
Mm,
directions, either where we offer testing, where some other testing is offered, and then what else, information, because you want to make sure you get good information from people who know. I mean, you may
right,
love your family and friends, but they don't always know. And
right,
I've read and heard a lot of wrong things from people I love very dearly.
right.
So, you want to make sure you get the right information. Our website is www.ccbh.net.
Perfect. And Ramona, I get misinformation when I ask my friends and family about the Browns. So I'm definitely not going to just take the information about, COVID-19. But she just listed the website. The phone number is 216-201-2000. Kelly says, stay protected. That's all we can do. Hope for the best. And, as long as we can control the things that we can control, then hopefully the numbers will start coming down and we can all have a safe and enjoyable Christmas time. But
Right.
thank you so much, and we'll be speaking with you guys again next week.
Thank you. And the Browns are 8-3. So,
Hey, they out here. I know. Thank you. We got to remind ourselves that we actually a good football team this year, so hopefully they can keep it going.
mhm. All right. Thank you so much.
All right, thanks a
All
lot.
right.
Have a great day.
Okay. Bye.